My dear friends and investors, welcome to our monthly communication on markets and investing. Today, we're going to talk about a very interesting topic, which is AI or artificial intelligence. It is arguably one of the largest megatrends of the current times. And as you know, every large megatrend has significant implications, economic, social, as well as cultural. But today, we will talk about the economic implications of AI. As you know, every big technology advancement has created massive opportunities for value creation, wealth creation, but it has also brought with it a lot of disruption. And in today's communication, we will see what are the implications for the markets and how do we play this trend effectively. Truly, the advent of AI has had a significant impact on markets. And to measure that, what we did was that we looked at a ETF which broadly represents companies that constitute the various ecosystem of artificial intelligence. And this ETF is called the S&P Kensho Artificial Intelligence Enablers and Adapters Index. And I'm sure while there are several AI indices, the reason why we chose this because we felt that this had the best global representation of AI companies, not just from the US, but also Europe, China, Asia Pacific, and Russia. The top 10 constituents of this index, just to give you an idea, are companies like Nvidia, Broadcom, Tesla, Microsoft, Meta, Alphabet, MasterCard, Oracle, Alibaba, and SAP from Germany. If you really look, the turning point for AI came on 30th November 2022 when OpenAI launched the first version of ChatGPT. We measured the returns of the S&P Kensho AI Index since the launch of ChatGPT up until today. And the index has delivered a staggering 280% return in dollar terms, while the S&P 500 during the same period has delivered a 164% return. Dear friends, while for most of us in the markets, the US trade policy would be up and center, however, we believe that even more significant than the recent trade policy is the impact of artificial intelligence on markets. And every market where there is a fair representation of AI plays, whether it is on building the large language models or building AI infrastructure or companies that build data centers and build chips and semiconductors, they have all outperformed dramatically. For example, in the current calendar year 2025, the AI index that we spoke about is up 28%, the S&P 500 is up 14%, the MSCI Taiwan index, as you know, Taiwan is home to one of the largest semiconductor ecosystem, is up 30%, MSCI Korea is up 62%, and the MSCI China index is up 40%, especially after DeepSeek developed a rival LLM model which competed with some of the best AI models coming from the US. One of the big issues that global investors have with respect to the Indian markets is that Indian markets lack a sufficient representation of AI plays. This massive and very concentrated outperformance of the AI plays is very understandable. Just the four top hyperscalers from the US, which is Meta, Alphabet, Microsoft, and Amazon, have significantly ramped up their investments in AI. From a $94 billion investment in 2020, this number has reached a staggering $325 billion in 2025. There has been a flurry of deals in the AI space. It all started with a mega funding round of $40 billion by SoftBank in OpenAI. Later on, Meta acquired a 49% stake in Scale AI at $15 billion. We have also seen a lot of infrastructure partnership expansion deals between OpenAI, Meta, Microsoft with CoreWeave. This is all to enhance the additional compute contract to scale their LLM models and expand their existing infrastructure collaboration. Recently, Oracle and OpenAI also signed a $30 billion Stargate project. Similarly, NVIDIA made up to a $100 billion investment in OpenAI to co-invest in the Stargate data center project to secure demand for GPUs and deepen its AI integration with OpenAI. In fact, of all the venture capital startup funding, almost 64% of all US VC deals, approximating about $18 billion, have all been made in AI and AI-related technologies. So friends, how do we as investors benefit from this mega trend? For this, we will use an analogy of when oil was first discovered. When oil was first discovered, extraction of that oil was when the initial value creation or value generation happened. And who benefited? It was the oil producers and all the companies that were involved in the equipment and services which are required for discovery of oil. Once oil was discovered and was available commercially, thereafter the application of oil or petroleum products, for example by the auto industry, petrochemicals, shipping, transportation, power generation, these were all sectors that used oil as a fuel for energy. And at the second level, we saw massive value creation by all these industries who started using crude oil as a source of energy. Similarly, with artificial intelligence is basically the first level of value creation would happen because the most value will be created in extraction and interpretation of data. And therefore, companies that build Gen AI or large language models, build data centers, the hyperscalers that we talked about, are at the forefront of initial value creation. Once the artificial intelligence technology is mature, there will be several vertical industries. It could be healthcare, it could be customer service, software development, legal, robotics. There will be several end user industries who will use AI to its benefit, and there will be a large opportunity for them to create value. Hence, if we were to deconstruct the stages of value creation, then the way it will play out in AI is that value creation will shift from the infrastructure layer to the application or the software product layer, and finally to the industry layer, where industries which use AI to improve productivity will benefit significantly. On the infrastructure layer, it would be companies that build data centers, provide the GPU services, and that build critical power equipment. As you all know, building a data center and running AI models require humongous amount of power, and we believe that this has given a significant fillip to all sources of power, whether it is the traditional thermal, renewable, or even nuclear power. Secondly, when we come to the software product layer, it will be the consumer application companies, the data analytics companies, and then several industry specific applications that will benefit. To begin with, the biggest boom in the infrastructure layer today is in the build out of data centers. In India itself, over the last 8 years, India's data center capacity has gone from 307 megawatts to almost 1263 megawatts, almost a 4x increase. But we are likely to see an even steeper growth curve, where it is estimated that this 1.2 gigawatt current capacity is likely to reach 4.5 gigawatts by 2030. And there are several players in India who are building data centers, from companies like Yota to Control S to Reliance and Adani Connex, and there will be several more as we move ahead from here. Once the data centers have been built and the GPU capacity is up and running, this GPU service opportunity itself is likely to be a multi-billion-dollar opportunity. For example, the current GPU service opportunity is close to $1.4 billion. That itself, by several estimates, is likely to reach almost $6 billion by 2030. And few companies that are currently listed and which could benefit from this opportunity are companies like NetWeb and E2E networks in India. Lastly, coming to the power equipment industry and the entire ecosystem. As I mentioned, building AI infrastructure and running models is an extremely power intensive business. Here, in fact, there are several plays that investors can to benefit from the AI boom. On the power equipment side, we have low voltage power distribution companies like Schneider and maybe cable companies like Havells, KEI, Polycab, to name a few. Then you would also require cooling solutions, and that is where HVAC players like Blue Star, Voltas and Thermax could be few companies that would benefit, followed by companies that make backup power like Cummins, Kirloskar oil engines, who make the gensets for backup power for AI data centers. And finally, you would have players like medium voltage power distribution companies like ABB, Siemens, Schneider, Hitachi and GE Vernova. In fact, we believe that so significant is the demand for power that many of these Indian companies are not only servicing the booming India demand, but are also exporting to several countries, including the United States. Many multinationals are using India as a manufacturing base for transformers and critical power equipment to be exported to their foreign parents as well. And finally, when we come to the software layer, initially we have the companies that are building the LLM, These are all companies like OpenAI, Perplexity, Anthropic, Gemini, Grok, DeepSeek. However, none of these companies are domiciled in India, but you do have a few companies in the data analytics fields like LatentView and Fractal, which is likely to go public soon. And finally, we will in the future see industry specific software players, as I mentioned, which could across industries like AI, agentic robots, health tech, legal tech, chatbots, fraud detection. Also in banks and financial services, there will be several industry specific players who could come up in the future. So friends, we've examined the value creation possibilities at the infrastructure layer, the software or the application layer. We now come to the final frontier where individual companies will start using AI capabilities in their business processes to enhance efficiency, productivity, and substantially improve their competitive advantage. One such company in India is Bajaj Finance. Bajaj has already started to embed AI capabilities in several of their business processes, which includes business development, operations, and marketing activities. For example, Bajaj already uses AI voice bots for lead generation for disbursal of loans, and the company has already disbursed 1500 crore worth of loans purely using AI voice bots. They've also used AI in automating a lot of their documentation processes, with more than 3.5 crore documents now being checked by AI, thereby eliminating manual checks and improving productivity substantially. On the Bajaj Finance app, you now have an AI chatbot which can help solve several queries. Almost 70% of the service requests are now solved by AI chatbot. 18% of the service emails have now been answered by AI agents. Finally, the company has also used AI to develop content online. 100% of the search related content, with 71% of the videos and 36% of the banners, have been generated by AI chatbots. And this is a great example of how a forward looking company has made already significant strides in using AI to its advantage. And friends, I believe that as AI technology becomes mainstream, it will be incumbent on every company to think of how they could use AI to its advantage. And I believe that going forward, there will be the haves and the have nots. It may be quite interesting that the next time you look at the list of companies that you are invested in and you ask the hard question, is your company using AI to its advantage? We believe that there could be in the future significant value migration from companies that use AI to their advantages, as opposed to companies that fall behind if they do not use AI in their business to either enhance competitiveness, improve efficiency, or productivity. We will watch this space very closely. Friends, we believe this is a huge opportunity, and this will throw up several opportunities in the future as well. We have named a few companies across the AI ecosystem. I must tell you though that those are purely instructive and not an exhaustive list of companies that could benefit. There will be several more that will be represented in the Indian markets as well. For now, thank you so much. Until next time.